Welcome to the Football Retro Podcast.
The word welcome, I guess, is stretching it a little when you're an Australian in a place like this today.
Hello and welcome to episode 14 of the Football Retro Podcast. I'm your host Johnny, and today we've got another full table, which is what I like. I'm joined by Fatty, Adasi and Akram. How you doing, guys?
Fantastic, Johnny. Always a pleasure to be here. Looking forward to today's topic.
I'm back, guys. For those that missed me or didn't miss me, I'm back to cause more controversy. I missed not being on last week's episode.
A bit quiet with that, yeah? Yeah.
I missed you, Fatty. I'll be honest, I missed you, mate.
A bit less angry we were.
Yeah, it was a little bit more civil.
Yeah.
That's why I'm here, to make things spicy.
You're very critical of the show after you listened to it.
I wasn't critical, I just had some pointers I thought that should have
Like
been
what?
better.
Like what? I didn't hear these points.
Oh, Johnny just seemed very, blasé, or he was a bit quiet. I don't know, he felt reserved. I think he was...
A little tired, eh?
Maybe he was tired, I don't know. Baby
Speaking of
keeping you up at
tired,
night?
I'm feeling
No.
exhausted, guys. So what's the topic today, Johnny?
Before I go into that, I just want to clarify and defend myself here. I was calm. There was no angry person next to me.
Is that why?
Yeah.
Shouting into your ear?
100%.
I never shout in your ear. You told me to shout into the microphone, so I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, what did you like or did you not like the idea about the podcast about Maltese and betting?
I love the idea of multis. I mean, it probably only you'll corner the market a little bit because I don't think everyone it's their cup of tea, but it's definitely something that's prevalent out there, and I think a lot of people would possibly be interested, or people could give us some of their pointers as well.
Yeah, no, I mean,
I'm happy to share tips, by the way.
I actually don't think it's a bad idea at all. Like, sharing some fun stories. Fatty just shared a couple really funny stories a few minutes ago before we started. I think that it's actually not a bad idea to do that, especially with World Cups, because World Cups and tournament football is always full of so many surprising results, eh?
I think it just adds a bit of spice, especially when you're with mates and watching a game. And, I'll just touch on it briefly. Like we used to bet on stupid little things like goal kicks and throw-ins and things like that. And it used to make the game exciting, especially when the games were boring or if it was a stalemate sort of game and there was not much action happening. A group of boys are hanging around and everyone's cheering for, throw-ins and goal kicks and stupid things. But
Like a boring game, an exciting game.
yeah, it just made things a bit more fun.
When I used to put big money on no goals in the first 10 minutes.
Oh, man.
And when that 10-minute clicks over,
Yeah.
you celebrate, and everyone around you at the pub's like, what the hell are you celebrating
Yeah.
Well, wasn't that why gambling was invented in the first place? Make sport more
for
fun.
suckers like us?
Yeah. I mean, look, if you're going to blow 10, 20, 30, $50, whatever it is, to have a bit of fun, it's no different to going out and blowing $100 and getting drunk, right? I mean, each their own.
Yeah, no, fair enough. I mean, but it isn't a bad idea. I'm sure you'd have a lot of comments of everyone else's stories, eh?
Call out to Leo Brancati.
Like I said last week, if you guys have any tips, bets, any multis that went wrong, all right, send them through to us. We'd love to see them. Speaking of betting and losing bets, last week the Champions League started.
Yeah, I know, eh? Started great for fans of Real Madrid, eh?
Shocking game that was.
What happened there, Darcy?
Just terrible first half then. Just all over the shop. Very shambolic at the back. Yeah, players are out injured, but I think it's a sign that the team is lacking something, lacking intensity, lacking cohesion, chemistry. So
Nah, see, mate,
Shaking his head in disbelief. He's annoyed.
it's that. And
because that's the thing. I don't think this is a game that we can really tactically break down. Shakhtar Donetsk, were they not missing like 10 players due to COVID?
Yes.
Due to fucking COVID.
Yeah.
It's my one for the day, Johnny. Fucking COVID. Sorry, my second for the day, Johnny. And we lost 1-0. How can you explain that? From a tactical perspective, I don't see no explanation.
There was just no organisation. I saw it, and it was just the first half, like just very lackadaisical, very disorganised at the back, and Ramos not being there made a difference as well.
I think
they came back second half, but too late.
Come on,
and
mate,
honestly,
yeah.
but other than that, it could have been more, and it probably should have been more, and doesn't bode well going forward.
Do you think it's in part, though, that they sort of underestimated Shakhtar a little bit?
It has to be, right?
Possibly.
It doesn't make any other sense, right? I mean,
No.
Shakhtar's missing so many players. Okay, Real Madrid's missing players too, but a squad like Real Madrid's, those are the sort of games that you should be picking up those points.
Yeah, look, I don't know what it is. It could be motivational factors, could be just lack of hunger, because a lot of these players have achieved so much with the club. So maybe it worked a little bit with Zidane for a while, but now, again, it just has to get them back up on their feet.
What are you trying to say is Zidane's not...
Look, he's worked his magic, but
It's
He,
so like his spell ends now.
This is going back to the previous podcast we did, yeah.
Managers.
Zidane is untouchable in terms of his ability.
Oh, come
But the
on.
first,
mate.
the first
Players
half,
have to take responsibility.
You just said it could be that they're not playing for Zidane anymore.
No, not that, but just the players themselves.
They can't
They've
motivate
achieved.
them.
They've achieved a lot. So
Yeah, come
You
on.
said it, I'm just touching on what
Varane
you
is like
said.
27, 28 years old. He's won everything you would possibly win in the game, and then some. Players, it's naturally that they're not going to be as hungry. You're going up against a club and a team that is much, much smaller by 50 times smaller, who's missing out almost all of their players.
because of a virus.
I mean, the thing is, that responsibility, has to be solely on the players, right? Or are you saying that, for example, just that Zidane should have really done a lot more?
I'm not really saying anything. I was touching on Darcy's comment, but Johnny, you're welcome. He's back. I'm getting fired up. I don't know. Look, I don't know. I didn't watch the game. I'm not going to lie.
There's 5 more match days to go, so
I'm sure they'll get through. I don't want to become the Real Madrid show, but if the first half was 3-0, it sounds like Jeffrey Epstein with a 14-year-old. Come on, man. That was...
it was awful to watch. It was absolutely
it could have been more. That's a sad thing.
We're trying to say pedophilia. I don't understand. I don't understand.
molesting.
Anyway,
Real Madrid got
I just wanted
molested.
you to clarify that, Johnny. Thanks.
Can't go there.
Just wanted you to clarify.
Can you think of any other upsets or underdogs in the Champions League in recent years or even ever?
Look, in recent years, I think of just one upset, and that's Roma's win against Barcelona a few years ago. Last minute goal, Costas Manolas' header at the end. I thought that was like
4-1 down, yeah.
You wouldn't count Liverpool's one?
Liverpool's one from what?
Barcelona.
Corner taken quickly, Origi.
Yeah, I mean...
The context of it feels like an upset.
But the way Liverpool were going, they were bound to get back up there. Like, they were there and thereabouts. They missed out on the Premier League, and they'd won the Champions League. So I don't know.
So just to clarify, we're talking about Liverpool Barcelona. What was the score for that second leg?
4-0.
Down 3-0.
So down 3-0 to come back. And with Roma, Darcy, you were about to
They were
explain to us?
down 4-1 and they won 3-0 away goals. Yeah.
So for me, I look at the Roma one as a bit more of a more famous upset. Just because I guess like Liverpool's transfer budgets to Barcelona is a lot more comparable to than Roma's. And just the way it happened. I was really sad that, Costas Manolas, he ended up going to Napoli this past season or the year before.
Yeah, recently, last year.
Yeah, I think it was last year because that was such a moment that, you'd feel blinded to your fans forever, eh?
Yeah.
And that was at the Stadio Olimpico?
They swapped. It was Diawara went the other way.
Yeah,
Roma.
That's right, yeah.
It's funny those two upsets you mentioned are both against Barcelona.
Yeah.
Well, on the other
In
hand...
recent years.
That was a coincidence. I didn't have any...
On the other hand, Barcelona against PSG, 6-1.
Yeah, very big
Controversial.
talking points in that game. I don't know how PSG still blew that, but that was totally useless. Up 4-0, and then they scored a goal to make it 3-1. Barcelona still needed 3 goals, and then they got it somehow. Unbelievable.
I remember that.
Any other ones in the Champions League you can think of? Any upsets or any underdog stories?
In the last few years?
Ever?
Underdog for me, I mean, I don't know if you would call it underdog. To me, it felt like it was underdog. I don't know what you guys think. Valencia, I mean, they're doing well in La Liga, and they were always thereabouts in the top 4. But to make back-to-back Champions League finals and just be unlucky to lose, and not at least win one of them.
Yeah, definitely.
I thought it was it was a bit of a fairy tale run.
That was what a team that Valencia had back then.
Yeah,
I
loved Canizares.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Mendieta in midfield.
Mendieta, man.
I was just
out.
for his sake.
Yeah.
I just saw him. Was he captaining the squad?
Mendieta.
Canizares?
No, Mendieta was.
Yeah.
Canizares didn't captain at all. Maybe he was.
He would have been vice captain
or something.
but
one of the leaders in the team, and I always liked him. And I thought, man, he deserved one of those Champions League, and they just never got it.
Yeah, they were a good side back then. Yeah.
Would Marseille winning in the early 90s be an upset?
They were strong, Marseille. They went all the way. They beat Milan in the final. Unfortunately, that season for them was overshadowed domestically because they got found guilty for match fixing.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, they had a quality team. They had Desailly, Deschamps, Jean-Pierre Papin, and then Boksic. Good quality team.
Does that then translate to the Champions League? Like, do you think then, if it's tarnished here, is there some foul play somewhere Pardon the pun, or do you think it's completely different?
I don't think
you
it
know,
goes-
like that's in the French league. This is under UEFA. It could be something
different competitions.
Then again, UEFA isn't really.
It's not that clean.
I don't
most
think it goes all the way to
upstanding organisation.
No, I don't think it goes all the way to completely tarnish the achievement, but it does make you wonder a little, when it happened in the same season.
That's
I
right.
think the word overshadow is very appropriate here, because it's what you remember from that legacy for that club, and that's a shame with cheating, like Juventus and the Calciopoli scandal. I mean, they were a fantastic team. They were fully loaded with talent, but look what happened. No one's going to remember that.
Does anyone really remember that now?
The Calciopoli?
Yeah.
Or
Like
the teams themselves?
No. In terms of the scandal and getting relegated and all that,
Because they just came straight back up.
they came straight back up. So is it kind of swept under the rug a little bit? They're
Look, yes and no, but I do,
because
you
they're,
do gotta remember
they're the prized asset of La Liga now. Like
of your
Serie A.
Serie A.
of Serie A.
Yeah,
They're the prized asset. Like
they are
who else
now
is it?
in 2020, but you do got to remember that. They went down in 2005, 2006.
Straight after the
World Cup.
Italy won it as well.
Yeah, Italy won it, and then the next day you had Calciopoli. And they did have to come really back for a number of years, where AC Milan and Inter were just getting every league title after that for quite a while.
Yeah.
And there were some really poor seasons. And from when they started, I mean, at the time, they had Zlatan Ibrahimovic in their prime. They had Fabio Cannavaro. They had Patrick Vieira. They lost all of these kind of
Lilian
big players.
Thuram, yeah.
Lilian Thuram went to Barcelona, right?
Yeah.
I love Thuram there.
Yeah. So it was like from where they went, which was perennial European
But
contenders.
I think what helped them as well to get back up straight away was a lot of the core still stayed there. Guys like Trezeguet, Del Piero, Nedved.
Buffon.
Buffon, yeah, of course.
Yeah, so that made a big difference for them.
Speaking about that time, though, I think that the 2005 European Cup win of Liverpool, I would consider that a bit of an upset. Would you think about it, and maybe you guys remember better, going into that game? Were they considered like vast underdogs over AC Milan at the time, or was it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Because
Yeah,
Liverpool
they
were
were.
fortunate to get to the final.
They were fortunate to get there, right?
So-called ghost goal against Chelsea in the semi-final.
Yeah.
No
Explain.
one knows if it could walk across the line or not.
Wow.
Yeah.
Similar to England winning the World Cup in '66.
Yes. VAR, if it was around back then, would have changed everything. But AC Milan were heavy favourites, and they came off the blocks in that final so well.
Yeah.
I remember that.
And what a
game.
squad.
That was one of
Yeah.
the most exciting games to ever watch. Eh?
And then it just took
you had no idea what was going
6
on.
minutes of madness. Gerrard, Smitsa, and then Alonso. Three
Vladimir
goals.
Smitsa, eh?
You look at
Yeah.
the Milan's
A Czech
team on
connection.
paper.
Yeah,
The Milan's team on paper is amazing.
Yeah,
absolutely, definitely.
Yeah, and I mean, like, and it deservedly so. For 2003 win, 2005 appearance, 2007 win. So yeah, I totally agree. And then the way Liverpool came back, for me, that's when I think about upset. When I think about like the miracle, what do they call it? The miracle
of Istanbul.
Of Istanbul. Yeah. So for me, it is definitely one of those
No
ones that stand
Liverpool
out.
fan will ever make you forget that. I mean, I don't blame them, but it just gets fucking annoying.
Speaking of Champions League and finals, surely we can name the Chelsea vs Bayern Munich 2012.
That was a big one. That was Bayern Munich's
At
home
home.
ground at the Allianz Arena. Bayern Munich dominated the game, and I think both teams had a lot of like 2 or 3 players out with suspension as well, and then Drogba's header at the end taking extra time, and Robin missing a penalty.
Yeah, I was about to say that penalty was unlike Robin and Drogba. Drogba was an absolute animal. The
Yeah.
guy was a beast
Yeah.
for those couple of years.
Yeah.
Maybe even more than that. No team wanted to face him.
Yeah.
The guy was just on fire, and he could score from anywhere. As soon as he got the ball, he knew he was dangerous. In the air, with his back to goal, it didn't matter. The guy
very
could score
clinical,
from anywhere.
very deadly striker.
It's not Champions League, but Real Madrid against Alcorcon, was it?
Alcorcon, yes, in 2009, Copa del Rey, first leg, first round. That was the first
What was
year.
the score?
4-0. They call it Alcorconazo, as they call it back there in Spain. But,
I've never heard Alcorcon.
they rested a few players. They're in the second division now. Back then, I think it was third division. First leg, 4-0. Real Madrid had a pretty strong team. You'd think that, get a good result from there with the players that they had, but they just got outrun and totally outclassed that night.
Look, cup games can be a bit tricky. Do you remember the FA Cup final 2013, Wigan versus Man City?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wigan
Yeah.
beat Man
I
City.
do remember that.
So
Yeah, cup games, especially with the FA Cup, is something that I used to watch regularly. That's why they always used to say the magic of the cup.
Or the romance of the.
Yeah, because there's always an upset. especially when the lower tier clubs would always want to draw a Premier League team at their home ground because it meant revenue for them. It meant
Exposure.
TV viewership, a bit of exposure, some money coming into the club, and these players would probably never play against a team like a Manchester United, a Liverpool, and Arsenal.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah. And these guys have part-time jobs as well.
They're part-time footballers.
Yeah.
So they would step up massively, and sometimes the hunger and desire was enough to overcome the quality.
Yeah.
Speaking of, you remember this, Fatty? 2014, Adelaide City versus Wondrous in the FFA Cup. Do you remember that?
I do remember that.
It wasn't even televised. Supposed to listen to it on the radio.
I do remember that.
It was 1-0 Adelaide won. And the week after, 2 weeks after that, Wondrous had to play against...
Has the FFA Cup been around for 6 years?
Yes, that was the first season.
I thought it was 2015. Maybe it was 2014.
No, because it was a week or two after that, Wondrous had to play against the Chinese.
Asian Champions League.
Yeah. And we're thinking, how the hell are we going to beat this Chinese multi-million team?
Yeah.
When we lost against a local.
That's right. Yeah, but then again, hey, the Wanderers were focusing on bigger things, and it paid off.
Yeah. That's an underdog story.
That is an underdog story, definitely.
Asian Champions League.
2014 Asian Champions League, West Sydney Wanderers. I remember
going to the first leg at Paris Stadium.
It's very underappreciated, but with the years, and you look at Sydney FC's had an amazing team in the last few years, and they've struggled in Asia. Victory struggled in Asia.
I've said it, Johnny. I said it at the time. I said it when we won the Asian Champions League. No Australian team is going to replicate this anytime soon. Definitely not while Australian football still plays with a salary cap. Because there's no way you're going to compete with the Chinese teams and the kind of money there. Yeah. Or the Japanese teams and the technical ability of the J-League that's been around for a lot longer than we have.
They're far ahead of us.
Yeah, Asian football is well ahead of us. That's another topic for another day because we could go on that forever.
Yeah.
But it just shows the magnitude of the Wanderers' achievement, winning that 2014, even coming up against the Saudi club Al Hilal. These guys are backed with big money, foreign coaches, foreign players, and they just steamrolled anyone they played against. So, and the Wanderers, that path to that final was not easy because they beat two of the last 2 seasons' winners on the way through. So they beat Guangzhou Evergrande, and we beat which Korean team? I don't remember now.
Dragon Seoul. Ulsan Hyundai.
No, Ulsan Hyundai wasn't a champion. I think it was FC Seoul maybe, or I don't recall. I got to look back on it. But we beat back-to-back champions, quarterfinals, semi-finals, made the final against Al Hilal, and won 1-0 at home at Parramatta Stadium at the time.
Yeah, I remember that guy was there.
And then went to Saudi Arabia and held them to 0-0, and against all odds, I don't know how we didn't concede a goal there.
And then the trip back home, the Wanderers fans waiting at the airport.
Yeah, massive underdog story.
I've got to ask, maybe this is going off the topic a little bit, but the Wanderers were what? Playing as a club and existing for 1 season, right?
2 years.
2 years.
Yeah.
Is that not one of the most biggest Australian sporting achievements in history?
Unfortunately, in this country, football isn't at the top of the list. If it was another sport,
it
doesn't get spoken enough.
Not enough.
You know what's the funny thing is, football fans in this country, rival football fans, I should say, belittle that achievement because they don't want the Wanderers to have it, and they take the piss out of it.
Wow.
Oh, that's all you've got. Oh, you're going to refer to your Asian Champions League. No one actually understands the magnitude of this.
No.
People were going crazy when Australia qualified for 2006 World Cup, but no one looks at this and thinks, "Wow, what an achievement!" I don't think people appreciate the magnitude of the size of the clubs in Asia. China,
and the amount of money.
China because of the money. Japan, technical.
I think it comes down as well.
Korean clubs are also very technical.
I think it comes down as well. They don't just achieve understand the magnitude of the sport itself, maybe.
Of football itself?
Yeah, probably that.
Look, I remember when it did occur, every sports commentator was loving to talk about it, and it was considered this big thing. But from a legacy standpoint, when we talk about, I guess is a part of the reason, when we talk about Australian sport, we talk about our national team more than what happens with club sports, eh?
Possibly.
We tend to. Speaking of, you touched on the Aloisi penalty, November.
Socceroos.
05.
Uruguay, That was an upset.
Would
too.
that be an underdog story?
I think so.
Yeah, I think that was
definitely.
huge.
Uruguay were heavy favourites, like from outsiders' point of view, anyway, given the team that they had. Yeah, that was. I think it was Australia's time to shine.
That was great.
Yeah.
That was golden generation of Socceroos.
And that was like right around the time where everyone was advocating for Australia to move conferences, for the international qualifier.
Yeah, it happened the few months
Right
after.
after that.
Right
After
after
that, we
they-
became part of
Asia.
and that was the same year that qualified the A-League started too.
As opposed to Oceania, because Oceania, you'd play Fiji and
And
Tahiti and
New
Solomon
Zealand,
Islands.
yeah.
And then New Zealand.
New Zealand was the only team that was sort of a challenge.
Yeah.
Everyone else was like 7-0 and 13-0. Archie Thompson scoring freaking 13 goals.
31-0
Against American Samoa.
2001, yeah.
You know, things like that. So
Yeah, and then they would always have to play the fifth place team of South America, correct?
Most of the time.
Fifth place team, correct.
In the 97 played against Iran.
So
Yes.
really nice
Yes,
to
it
play against Iran.
could have been Asia sometimes they'd play against.
Yeah, fair enough. So I always feel like that to qualify.
But
That
what,
was very
Cup was
difficult.
always very
what,
difficult.
What made
Absolutely.
that qualification 2006 even more sweeter was the start of the qualification campaign. FIFA, Sepp Blatter, the president at the time, came out and said
Thief.
Oceania would get direct qualification, and then he changed his mind.
Oh wow!
He's a
So,
fuckwit.
that's
He's a fuckwit.
He's a
so
fraud.
already like everyone was already really on edge, and there was a lot
Yeah.
of tension around that whole.
And then they took it away from us, and then that's a play fifth place South America.
I remember
So,
I was watching the South American qualifiers religiously to find out who would finish fifth, and I think at the time it was close. Uruguay weren't clearly going to be fifth.
could have been Colombia as
Yeah,
well.
I think it was going to be someone else as well, and
Colombia or Chile, yeah.
Chile maybe if I
No,
remember.
fair enough.
Speaking of the World Cup, your 2010 World Cup, you mentioned New Zealand. They actually made it to the World Cup
Yep.
and were undefeated.
The only undefeated team in that
Yeah,
tournament.
they drew.
Drew all 3 games and finished ahead of Italy in their group.
The only undefeated team in the whole tournament. How about that?
Yeah.
Hey, you got to play to your strengths, so
Yeah.
No, good on.
they weren't going to
What
go
an
out
achievement,
and beat teams, by outscoring them. So,
That's it. Do what
but they
gotta
have
do.
Shane Smell.
Shane Smells, Leo,
What's Shane Smells going to do?
Leo Bertos,
Leo Bertos. Oh wow.
So it was a new law, 1-0 against Italy.
1-0. Going to Snell
Yeah,
scoring.
they scored a goal against Italy. That's
There
right.
you go.
And then Slovakia 1-0. They all scored a last minute goal as well.
Wait,
Is it- is
wait,
it
wait,
diff-
stop. Do you remember every game?
No.
Every result of the 22
Are we doing
World
this
Cup?
again?
2010 probably not. No.
Fucking hell.
No.
Do you remember the Switzerland-Spain game?
Yeah, I remember Switzerland beating Spain. And we all know what happened after, but
Yeah, that was the opening game. That was an upset.
yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, that Spain would have been one of the only teams, as far as I can remember, that lost their opening game and went on to win the World Cup.
Yeah.
Because most teams would win the 7 games. So the 3 group stage games,
Or draw one.
Quarterfinal.
Or draw
Yeah.
one of the ones. Yeah.
Yeah.
quarterfinal, semi-final, and then the final.
Yeah.
But yeah, they lost that 1-0 to Switzerland. I remember.
The other team I can think that were close were Argentina in 1990 before they were robbed in the final.
Oh,
Yeah.
here we go.
But why do you say robbed?
He mentions this all the time.
Why do you say robbed?
FIFA
again?
corruption, look it up.
Yeah, but what? But hang on, no, let's talk about it a little bit now, because now you open the topic, but don't run away from it.
Open a can of worms here.
Yeah. So, okay, you tell us your view of the game. Go.
It was at the peak of Maradona versus FIFA. Yeah, after the semi-final of Italy versus Argentina, that's when Maradona became public enemy number 1. And then 1 or 2 days before the final, the referee was actually swapped. And the guy that became the referee for the match was related to the guy in charge who's connected in FIFA. The
What
guy,
Sounds like a conspiracy theory.
that's what Akram calls me anyway, conspiracy theorist. So might as well.
Get the tinfoil
Next
hat on, mate.
conspiracy theory: did the moon landing happen?
Look, Argentina probably had one of the weakest teams ever in a World Cup, but somehow they managed to make it to the World Cup final.
But apparently that Cameroon team was a shambles because they had issues back home and they had pay dispute with their own FA and whatnot. So the fact that they even showed up,
I remember Roger Miller.
So you're talking about the first game in the World Cup?
yeah,
It was 1-0 Cameroon.
that's right. The fact that they even showed up was a miracle.
Yeah.
Let alone coming up against an Argentina and
Yeah.
a prime Maradona. Argentina defending champions.
And they made the quarterfinals too, Cameroon, that year, that World Cup.
Did they?
Yeah.
Wow.
Losing to England.
They beat Colombia, didn't they?
Yeah, and Roger Miller doing that famous dance in the
Yeah,
corner.
the corner flag.
Is that when Higuita lost the ball halfway through the field?
Yeah.
Rene Higuita. Scorpion.
Yeah.
World Cup. So now we're talking about the World Cup.
A lot of upsets in World
We
Cups.
spoke about 94. So we had obviously Sweden do well.
Yeah.
Sweden made the semis.
Yeah, and Bulgaria.
And so did Bulgaria. Hristo Stoichkov.
But Bulgaria as well, with the way they got there, knocking out France in the final World Cup qualifier. France just needed a draw, and then David Ginola did a pass that went to nowhere, and Bulgaria picked it up, quick counter-attack, and they scored and knocked out the French.
How do you remember that?
How do you
play.
even know this?
I saw it. It was on YouTube. Check it out.
I thought he was going to say, oh, I actually saw it before I came. By accident, it just came
No,
out.
it was...
No.
Anyway,
Did
so-
a blog about it.
Bulgaria, they beat Argentina as well, knocked them out in 94. They beat
Romania. Is it Romania?
they beat Argentina as well
In the groups,
stage last
Yeah.
match. They knocked out Germany, am I right?
Who?
Bulgaria.
Yes, in the quarterfinal, that header, Lechkov header.
Speaking of 94, Colombia versus USA. Now that's a match to die for.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
die
Remembered
for.
for the wrong reasons. Pun intended.
Fucking these guys puns.
Sneaky puns there, mate. Then,
Andres
Yeah.
Escobar. Poor bastard.
yeah.
So Colombia were one of the favourites to win the whole tournament.
Were they in 94?
Yeah, they had a strong team.
Yeah,
they
so
were-
just before the World Cup, to qualify, they beat Argentina 5-0 in Argentina.
Yeah.
That's what pretty much what forced them against Australia in 93.
Yeah.
Oh.
And they had a very strong team. Valderrama, they had a lot of...
Aspria.
yeah. And they just underperformed.
Yeah.
And the USA
that own
game...
goal that cost him
I think
his life.
my
was
first
crazy.
ever memory of the World Cup was the Colombia match against Romania and Jorge Hagi's goal from long range.
I remember that. What a great goal that was. I loved Haji. I loved Haji in 94 World Cup.
It goes back to like tournament football, Just tournament football, especially from the national team or international football, just so full of so many surprises,
Yeah.
Like that's a World Cup for you, isn't it? A World Cup's not good without a few upsets.
Well, you mentioned the opening game in the World Cup, Senegal versus France 0-2.
Oh,
That's
Yeah,
right.
oh,
yeah.
boy.
That's something, yeah.
That was France
shocked the world,
defending
man.
champions.
Star-studded team.
Star-studded team is an understatement.
Yeah.
They had Henry, Trezeguet at the peak of their powers.
The only things he done, I remember, was missed the game because of an injury, but other than that,
Other than that,
they were still expected to win that game. And
They had a crazy midfield, amazing back line.
yeah,
Everything.
I think we mentioned in the episode about 02 World Cup as well. They went into the World Cup with the top goal scorers in La Liga, Serie A, and the French league.
yeah.
Unbelievable,
Andre,
isn't it?
Trezeguet, and Cisse.
I think they went in there
insane.
not be like overconfident. They went into that tournament, and then
Must have been. It had
what
to be
happened?
that.
They went home with no goals scored. One point.
It had to be that. That's right. They struggled to score a goal. I remember.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, what are they doing? Henry couldn't buy a goal.
He got sent off in the same game. Yeah. Crazy.
Look, if there's a story where that tells you that you don't need to score a lot of goals to win a cup, it's Greece 04.
Oh, please,
Yeah.
John, I hate this.
Why do you hate it? Like
I
it's-
hate the Greeks because they don't shut up about it. I think it was the biggest fluke. It was the most boring shit
That's-
tournament to watch on Greece's behalf.
Yeah.
It was boring to see how Greece won it. It was very negative
If
defensive
you want-
football. Who's that?
Haristeas.
Haristeas. Yeah, just pops up and scores every now and again. No, 1-0, get a draw here, get a little 1-0 here.
They beat the hosts twice, opening
Rubbish.
game and the final. Crazy.
Rubbish. I hated that shit.
But
Who's the goalkeeper that looks like George Clooney?
Nicopolidis.
Yeah, when he was 85.
Yeah, the grey-haired
That's
guy.
right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Look, that
I
was
remember that.
what you could call a truly team effort. Like everyone just did their job, and look, it wasn't fancy football as Fadi was saying, but
Are you telling me there's a Greek called Nick? I don't believe you.
I was devastated that Euro because of the Czech Republic. I've got a soft spot for Pavel Nedved.
Yeah,
I thought-
they were red hot that tournament too.
I thought they were going to go and do it.
I gotta say, I was really pulling for the Czechs as well.
But man,
So I was really disappointed. But you still got to give it to Greece. Like,
Nah,
isn't
you
it?
don't give it to Greece.
I reckon still, if Nedved didn't go off injured in that semi-final against Greece, Czech Republic would have probably gone on and won it
Why?
because he was very influential, and then
But
he came off.
look at Cristiano in the Euro they won. He didn't play the final.
Johnny, please. Yeah, but they fluked that in extra time. That goal. I mentioned it before. It won me a lot of money, but I still don't want them to win.
I don't know. It was just he could have made a difference.
That was at Nedved at his best as well.
Like when I look back to
coming off a Ballon d'Or.
when I look back to Greece 04, it just burns me because I think that was the Czech Republic's. That's not yours.
Milan
Wow.
Balas.
I don't think they deserve.
What burns you more?
Here we go. Tell me.
On Greece 04, like Czech Republic not winning, or Holland not winning the 2001.
Holland not winning 2000, definitely. That loss to Italy, and the two missed penalties.
Yeah.
I was gutted.
What was the score?
Gutted.
0-0, and then Italy won penalties.
I was gutted. Obviously, I've got a soft spot for Bergkamp, my absolute idol, and it was at the very start of when Bergkamp came into his own at Arsenal. He had signed in
And
98.
you mentioned it, like that game. I remember it still. Holland was just all over Italy.
Kluivert missed the penalty,
And De Boer.
and De Boer, yeah,
Like
they're two penalty takers. So I don't know. I was gutted. They could have finished that game, and it was at home because Euro 2000 was the first tournament, I believe, that was split between two countries,
Co-hosts,
which
yeah.
was Belgium and
Holland.
Netherlands co-hosting
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
yeah.
So it was technically on their home turf.
This discussion is starting to turn into one we're just sharing like bad memories of clubs clubs or nations we've supported. Speaking of clubs that we've supported with some upsets, Fatty, do you have anything to share?
Why is this always about me?
Well, mate, we've talked about Real Madrid a few times.
Let's get about that. Arsenal's perspective.
Yeah, like well,
I mean, look, I mentioned off air about the 2000 and 2003 Premier League season. Arsenal were reigning champions 01-02 and come up against Leeds United, a hot Leeds United with Harry Kewell and Mark Viduka.
Yeah.
They turned us over at Highbury, ended up beating us, created too big of a gap for us to catch United with, a handful of games left to play, I believe. Handed the title to United, which was unfortunate because the following season we were unbeaten, invincibles. So it would have been 3 in a row.
Yeah.
It would have been massive, but yeah, that was a bit of an upset. Leeds were struggling that season.
They were on a downward spiral because the year after that they got relegated.
Yeah, Leeds.
And before that, you're talking about upsets when they made the Champions League semi-finals.
That's right.
2001.
We missed out in the quarterfinal because if we won, we would have faced Leeds United in the semi-final.
Worry.
Of course, condolences for you in that match.
Oh, it's fine. If you're an Arsenal fan, condolences is in general.
But at the same time, I have to say, that was such a fun, time watching clubs like Leeds United.
Yeah.
I would love to do an episode one day where we just talk about these cult teams of the 90s and early 2000s of these clubs that had a bit of money and got some talent. Unfortunately, are not at their best right now because that was a fun team where everyone was, everyone, neutral fans were really backing Leeds, especially here in Australia.
Yeah, absolutely. The Aussie connection, so a lot of people backed
Yeah.
them. But they had a lot of kind of half names, not really big names. They had a couple of players they had Olivier Dacourt playing in the middle, a couple of notables, Lucas Radebe at the
South
back.
African.
A couple of players, Rio Ferdinand, obviously was there.
Yeah.
Ian Hart, left back.
Free kick specialist.
Yeah.
So
Was
two
Alan
players here and
Smith
there.
there? Or?
Alan Smith
Alan
was there as
Smith,
well.
Lee
Alan
Bowyer,
Smith
Jonathan
was there.
Woodgate.
Yeah. So
Yeah, Jonathan
a few they had a good enough squad to stay in the Premier League.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I think
David O'Leary, who was managing them at the time, I don't know.
It's just one of those-
His style. Sometimes they played, sometimes they didn't, and they were just very hot and cold at the time. But they were almost everyone's second team.
Yeah, a lot of Aussies played there over the years.
That criteria you just mentioned,
Okay.
late 90s, early 2000s, that did really good. They're not there now. With Deportivo La Coruña,
Oh yeah. As fans of La Liga, I'm sorry, dump truck just decided to park in Johnny's backyard. All right, he's gone now. So fans of La Liga always was, you're always able to appreciate clubs like Deportivo coming up, and they had a lot of really fun players to watch and really great players. For some reason, they really like to attract these big goal scorers, Roy Mackay, Diego Tristan. And it was always fun to watch. It just made the league a lot more competitive.
talk to me about the 04 Champions League at Darcy.
Yeah, that was a tournament.
Look, these guys bang.
That was a Champions League edition of upsets. I mean, you have a look at the final itself: FC Porto versus Monaco. The way they got there, FC Porto in the second round knocking out Manchester United.
That entire year was full of crazy
the whole year,
results.
and then going all the way to the final, winning it 3-0 against Monaco, who another surprise team to make it, who knocked out Real Madrid in the quarters after being down 4-2 from the first leg, and then won 3-1 the second leg, and then knocking out Chelsea the first year of the Abramovich era. But unfortunate that the two teams in that final, all the talk before the game was about where the coaches and the players are going to end up the following season because of been snapped up by the big clubs.
Coaches went on to do great things, Mourinho, etc. I mean, what kind of
players were sold to bigger clubs?
Deco from Porto to Barcelona. Who from Monaco came out of that year?
A few players.
Patrice Evra.
Monaco were always
Ludovic Jouli
up there. Yeah, Ludovic Jouli.
Oh wow, yeah, I remember him.
He went to Barcelona after that.
That's right.
But Monaco were always there and thereabouts.
Yeah.
Especially in the French league and in the Champions League, they were constantly there. I remember a lot of times Arsenal would draw Monaco.
Yeah.
Which was
late
funny
90s,
because
I remember.
Wenger's old team and whatever.
Of course,
but Monaco were always there.
Late 90s, they were really there.
Who was the striker that played for him? He had a bit of a stint there, and I was like, how did he even get there?
Morientes.
Yeah. Loan spell.
That's
and
right,
he played against Real, knocked out Real.
Yeah, he got his revenge.
How did they get Morientes?
Oh, he was on loan, wasn't he?
Yeah, loan. Yeah.
He was on loan because we got Ronaldo, we got Raul,
and then
so it was a bit of an awkward moment.
After that, Real decided if they're going to loan out players, they're going to make a clause that they don't play against them.
Yeah.
But that's now with everyone, right?
Yeah, it's become common practice.
Which is funny because we don't want you, but if you play against us, we don't want you to play against us when it comes to it.
Scared,
we're just scared.
And I mean, Real Madrid's gotten bit by that a few times. I mean, speaking of upsets, Samuel Eto'o with Mallorca.
Yeah.
That was, we learned out to Mallorca and then bit us really hard, Darcy?
Yeah, did.
That was insane, man.
Yeah. You all know his career hadn't ended up.
When I think of Samuel Eto'o, I don't think of Samuel Eto'o at Real Madrid. No one even remembers him.
No, I don't think he ever really... Did he play for any senior caps?
He made 1 or 2 games in there, that's it.
You think of Samuel Eto'o, you think Barcelona.
That's right, 100%. Because it's unbelievable, isn't it?
Yeah.
But what was the score? Mallorca, Real Madrid, was it like... It was a massive score, wasn't it?
Was it 5-1?
4-1?
4-1, 5-1.
And Samuel Eto'o was right in the middle of it. And then everyone knew who Samuel Eto'o was.
Yeah, that was before he went to Barca. Right?
Yeah.
He's not as big a name as Gorgonzola that didn't play this morning. Last week. What's his name?
Alvaro Odriozola.
So, just a bit of background context here. Darcy reckons that one of the reasons Real Madrid lost in the Champions League.
No.
Because Gorgonzola didn't play.
No.
Sounds tasty.
I just put names out. It was a WhatsApp message. I was at work and I just said a few defenders were missing: Ramos, Carvajal, and Odriozola.
Odriozola or Gorgonzola? Which one can we determine?
Yeah, Fettuccine Gorgonzola.
I just made the point that the Real were missing defenders. That's it. Not saying he would have made a difference. Yeah.
Oh, I'm gone.
But anyway.
Oh, no.
There was more to it than just the defence for Real in that game.
Let's test out your memory here. Let's see if you even know this one. I don't think you do, Darcy.
Sure.
Name me the 3 biggest teams in Holland.
Biggest teams in Holland?
Where?
The 3 biggest teams.
Holland? Oh, I thought you said Ireland. I was going to say
Holland.
Fuck, bro, who knows that?
The big 3, Ajax, PSV and Feyenoord.
Okay, so leave Ajax aside. PSV Feyenoord. 2010. Do you remember a scoreline?
Oh,
hang on.
Yes.
PSV won.
Yeah,
Yes.
they smacked them like
10-0.
8 or 9. Yeah, maybe 10. Yeah, there you go.
10-0.
It was a massive
Made the headlines
blowout.
that game, yeah.
It was a massive blowout.
Made headlines, yeah.
I love the Dutch league.
Yeah.
There's always plenty of goals.
Yeah,
always
yeah.
plenty
It's
of goals.
really
in
exciting, isn't
it's
it?
a very exciting league to watch, and especially a lot of talent comes out of the Dutch leagues.
Yeah.
A lot of unknown players.
Ronaldo, Romario.
And their stadiums
Suarez.
their stadiums are always packed.
Ibrahimovic, yeah.
Always packed stadiums. Atmosphere's always great.
100%. Like, and they're always, every year, they're always going to surprise in some form or another. I mean, take Ajax's European Cup run there a few years ago. That was a fantastic side, man.
I used to enjoy, before COVID and all this, when football was normal. I used to enjoy watching obscure games from leagues like that, like the Dutch league or the French league or things like that. Obscure games where no one would care to watch. Like, you're not watching the 2 big teams. The Feyenoords or the PSVs or the Ajaxes.
Or the Auxerre in Liga 1, eh? Yeah, Fatty with his Arsene Wenger connections, eh?
No.
Of course not.
So I'd watch all the obscure games and I loved them. Same thing with the Championship or what they call it now, League 2 or whatever it is. I don't know. In England.
Championship, yeah.
I loved watching Championship games.
Really?
Always more exciting, especially the final days when there was a lot at stake. It was great to watch. It was
You know,
almost great to watch.
Yeah, and you mentioned about the Dutch league. One club, I love their name, is Go Ahead Eagles. I don't know if anyone.
That's right.
Mark Overmars, I think, played for him before he retired.
Well, he retired and then he came back.
Yeah.
And played for him and then he retired again.
Yeah.
So you're saying lots of goals in the Dutch league?
Well, I know that, and I know Go Ahead Eagles because I bet on them before and I bet against them.
So that's my next question. So over 2.5.
Over 2.5
Every
all
game.
day of the week. Dutch league, get on.
Go Ahead Eagles.
All right. Leicester.
Yeah, we got to talk about Leicester. right, guys?
2015.
Yeah.
So 15 or 16?
16.
15, 16.
16.
Yeah.
No, you got to talk about them, mate. Like one of the most
That has
biggest,
to be.
you know,
Has
to be.
Cinderella stories that you've ever heard, isn't it?
Yeah.
So if we're talking about betting, what were they going for at the beginning of the
I think
season?
5,000 to 1 maybe. Something like that.
Ridiculous, yeah.
Yeah.
That would
They're paying around $5,000
and
to win
put
it.
guys like N'Golo Kante, Jamie Vardy, Riyad Mahrez on the map.
Yeah. Yeah, they
Wes
launched their
Morgan,
careers
Kasper
after that.
It
Schmeichel.
really did, didn't it?
Yeah.
Because everybody then said, who's this team that just won? Who are
Yeah.
these players? Let's start poaching them.
And then-
So Man City swooped in.
And it's amazing that
Chelsea
they
swooped
bought
in.
them for quite cheap money and then they sold them for quite a lot of money. They made a good profit.
Do you think he gave other teams hope as well?
No, I don't think so.
Sorry, what did you say, Johnny? Gave smaller teams,
Hope.
other teams. Oh, you know what? No, I disagree. I mean, I think so. I think if the circumstances are right now, it's just that if the circumstances are right, anything can happen.
Okay, but let me ask his question, a further question on his.
Of course.
Which teams did it give hope to? Who do you think seriously thought, hey, we actually have a chance?
Maybe the teams like Everton have always been on the cusp of top 6 football.
Everton maybe
Yeah,
this
if they
year,
go on
but
a run,
Everton,
like,
Everton
you know.
went through a spell where they were just
Yeah.
lucky to be a top 10 team, and that's
Yeah.
about it.
But it's not necessarily just teams in the Premier League, but teams all around Europe, knowing that if you're a smallish club, but if you do your scouting well and if you recruit well, then if you have a lucky season where the bigger clubs are just, you know, in transition, you get a good coach.
Yeah.
You never know. Like,
You see it in Spain now with Sociedad and
yeah,
clubs like Sevilla and get Getafe as well now trying to...
you never know
Make it
with some of these smaller clubs, and you know, clubs. Especially in La Liga, where the two big clubs are, you know, have the perennial soap opera every year, where you know, drama's never too far away.
Yeah.
If you're a club like Sevilla, you know, wins like Leicester City just certainly give you hope.
Yeah.
Perennial soap opera.
Perennial. It means that happens every year, Johnny.
Here we go.
No, I'm
English
just-
lessons.
I'm
English
just-
lessons.
He chose English today, not Italian, Japanese. Or...
Or French, yeah.
French.
I just wanted to touch on that, you know, with the Premier League one, you speak about Leicester City. The reason why I don't think it gave other teams any sort of hope, because after that happened, the big boys then thought, nah, fuck this.
Oh, we're going to wake up again.
Yeah, because a lot of people didn't give Leicester City got credit, but a lot of people didn't give them enough credit because they said, oh, well, the other teams weren't at their peak, sort of thing. You know, the Man Cities and the Chelseas and the Man Uniteds weren't, you know, at their peak. So I think that off season after that, everyone was like,
Yeah,
pretty
I
much,
see what you're saying.
pretty much
I
the
think
big
that's a
boys
good
were like,
point.
how could we let them?
Yeah,
win?
and so like every
Like, it
coach
was
of
a
every
missed
major
title.
club goes to their you know, upper management. And go,
That-
this is why we need more money.
That's when you
for
saw
shit like this not to happen.
the guys like Chelsea, Man City and Liverpool then start.
Increasing their
Yeah,
transfer
that's what-
budget.
But at the same time, it might have given clubs hope to play in Europe or to challenge for a Champions League spot or to...
Yeah, I don't deny that. I don't deny to play in Europe. You know, what's it now? Top 8, top 9? You can still make Europa League.
Is it
Top
7?
4 Champions League and
England's
then
still got 4 spots.
5th gets Europa League and then the winners of the League Cup and Cup go Europa League. But if that club that's won those comps is in 5th
Or in those
in those
automatic
spots, then it goes to
doesn't it go to some kind of knockout like?
then it goes to whoever finished below that.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
funny. It's funny you say that, getting clubs knocked out, because I recall one year where Tottenham were trying to make it into the Champions League and they missed out because
Listen to the chuckle, eh?
they finished ahead of us,
Yeah.
but then they missed out anyway.
Chelsea
because,
won it.
because Chelsea. Yeah, that's right.
Thanks, Chelsea.
That was a good laugh. Fuck Tottenham.
Just needed to finish with that, eh?
Hashtag.
Can I put that on the Twitter account now, John?
Where, sorry?
Can I put that on the Twitter
You
account?
can do that. You can put on hats if you want. You can put on T-shirts.
Hashtag fuck Tottenham.
Denmark 92.
Yeah, that's a very interesting story to that one.
What's that movie called? There's a movie based on it.
Really?
Yeah, there's a movie
Oh shit!
On that
on Netflix.
on Euro '92 or the
Yeah,
the-
Denmark.
No, I haven't seen it.
I haven't seen the movie, but
Get into the fun.
funny thing about it is that they weren't meant to be there.
That's what they talk about.
Yeah.
The players were on holidays.
They weren't meant to be there, and then they took Yugoslavia's spot, and
That's right.
And it was a very talented Yugoslavia team, but because of the war that was breaking out in that part of the world, then UEFA decided to kick them out of the competition, and then Denmark took their spot. You know, and as you said, Johnny, unprepared, on holidays. You know, probably getting ready to watch the tournament on TV, and here they are, we're taking part, and then they went all the way.
But you know what? They had some quality players like the Laudrup brothers.
Yeah, and Schmeichel.
Schmeichel in goals. I loved Laudrup.
Yeah.
He was a magician.
Michael or Brian?
Michael Hodgson, man.
Come on.
Michael was more
Don't
magician.
pit the siblings together, mate. We all know who's the favorite.
We all know who was best. It's like trying to pit the De Boer brothers against each other. There's always a good one and a shit one, and you just don't.
Ronald.
or the Higuain brothers that are playing together now.
The Higuain brothers.
Or the Vieri, Christian Vieri, Max Vieri.
Let me ask you, Johnny.
Or the Toure brothers.
Johnny, which is the good Higuain?
The one that didn't miss in the World Cup final. Is that right, Johnny?
Which final are you talking about? The World Cup or the Copa America?
Yeah, which one? They lost 3 finals in a row.
Yeah. I got a soft spot for him.
Gonzalo Higuain, of course.
yeah.
You know.
Yeah, he's got a lot of soft spots. The fact.
Oh, shit.
Too funny.
Yeah, but 92 was a good one, that Denmark side.
They weren't meant to be there, and then look what happened.
Question, you mentioned Yugoslavia. This is a bit of left field, but I've always wondered this question. I never got to ask you guys. I've asked other people. I asked Harry, who was on episode 4, by the way. Go and listen to it. Who is Croatian. What's your opinion if Yugoslavia remained Yugoslavia? Would they have been a powerhouse in football?
I'd say so.
Because a lot of their players split, you know, players went to
Serbia,
Croatia,
Bosnia.
Bosnia. They split up.
Yeah.
But if they stayed Yugoslavia, if they were a united country, do you think they would have went further?
Yeah, I'd say so. That's some, and even not just in the 80s or 90s, but even now they've got some very technically gifted players, and it's spread out across. You know, like you said, Bosnia, Croatia, Serbia, and Slovenia as well.
Like you look at 98 World Cup Croatia.
Yeah.
If that was a Yugoslavia.
If they just had a bit more talent, eh?
Yeah, could they have gone?
I see where you're coming from with that. I think it's reasonable to say they certainly would have gone and made some noise on the world stage. I do think that maybe some of that political divide that region had might hold them back. You know, the same way that Spain was held back for so many years because of all that political stuff, right?
Yeah.
But you're certainly right. The talent that they had between some of those countries. Wow.
It would have been interesting to see how they would have gone in Euro 92 had they not been kicked out as well.
Yeah.
And another one, maybe if you think nations that didn't break up, Soviet Union, how they would have gone as well. If they still stuck around.
But they made the Yugoslavia made the quarterfinals, didn't they? 1990.
Yes, that's right. They did.
They lost by penalties.
Yeah.
So they had a very strong team.
That was just a question for our box heads
Interesting.
out there.
Politics
Feel free to get in touch and
politics and
tell
football.
us if you agree or disagree.
Box heads.
What do I call them?
Balkans. Call them Balkans.
Balkans, okay.
All right. Let's talk about Italy for a second. We're talking World Cups, talking about underdog stories.
Italy and World Cups are synonymous. They just go hand in hand.
So Italy and Korea. No, South Korea 02.
Yep.
So we mentioned that previously one of the podcasts.
Yeah.
Very famous match.
I still
And
remember
An Jung-hwan.
that game. I just remember like I was watching it yesterday.
An Jung-hwan playing for Perugia at the time scored the win against Italy, then Perugia sacks him.
That's how they shouts how seriously they take that shit.
It's sour grapes right there for you.
What many people don't know is that Italy also had an upset. They lost to North Korea in '66. So they got knocked out by North Korea. It was the first time North Korea was in the tournament.
Yeah.
And when the Italians got back home, they were welcomed by tomatoes thrown at them, rotten tomatoes being thrown at them.
Well,
That has to be one of the biggest upsets of all time, right?
The North Koreans are probably motivated by if you lose or don't, put in an honourable performance, you're going to die.
It's death
You come back home,
or
so-
military work for you for the rest of your life.
Ex-military execution.
What happened when they got smashed by Brazil in the 02?
2010.
When was it they played North Korea against Brazil?
Portugal.
Was it Portugal?
Yeah, they actually lost to Brazil 2-1. They actually put a good game up.
But they
And-
got smashed by someone else.
Yeah, Portugal 7-0.
Yeah, what happened? What was
And
the
then back
consequence?
home in the country, they ran a headline to make it sound that they, I think, won or played well or something.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
Yeah, they didn't mention the score. I think.
Yeah.
yeah. It's ridiculous because their media, they're suppressed, right? So
Yeah.
they can just bullshit whatever. it
Yeah,
is.
propaganda and all that
fake
shit.
news and
Yeah.
all that sort of
Sounds
shit.
like CNN a little bit.
Oh, here we go.
I was waiting for you, Johnny. That was on a silver platter for you. That one.
Would you guys consider Italy versus Germany in the 06 semi-final an upset or?
I think it's a little bit of an upset because Germany were at home, hosting the World Cup.
They were playing well too, attacking wise. They were a really good side, Germany,
Yeah, and they lost 2002, obviously, to Brazil
in the final.
in the final. So Germany have always played well in tournaments for as long as
Yeah.
I can remember.
That-
They're just very, very mechanical, very structured. You know, when you look at you always expect the Germany team to be there or thereabouts. When you're talking about before a tournament starting and you say, oh, who's going to make the semis or the quarters, Germany is always there.
Well, that was the case from 1974 up until 2014. It was either minimum they had was quarterfinals.
Yeah.
Wow,
Except 2018, they got knocked down in the group stage. So
What a statistic, though, eh?
That is a good
it was always
statistic.
up.
And it proves with a point value, like about that consistency. However, like while I look at it, I guess you could say it's an upset.
I mean,
But Italy did have some incredible talent at the time.
that's what I was going to say. I mean, it's not really
Or
an
is it-
upset by in that description because
yeah.
it is Italy, and Italy again one of those teams that are always there.
And at the time, they had incredible talent.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I guess, is it the way Italy were playing and their style of football? Did it seem like they were not as strong as what
I
they
think
were?
for me, what was a surprise in that game, that was one of the best games I've ever watched, World Cup games, by the way. That was that semi-final clash. Great match.
Was that Del Piero when he scored in the top corner?
That was the last goal.
Yeah,
then-
ran onto it and then he
And then
turned his body.
The first
pinged it
one,
into
the
top
first goal
corner.
was Pirlo picked out Grosso, and Grosso
Yeah.
first time left foot
Yeah.
curler, and that was
I remember
both
that.
goals coming towards the end of extra time, so it was poised for penalties. And then out of nowhere, those two goals came out, and the whole stadium was just stunned. Apart from the few thousand Italians that were celebrating.
So you mentioned 2018, they got knocked out of the World Cup in the group stage.
Germany, yeah,
Who did they lose against? Who did they play against?
they lost to Mexico, and
Come on, bro. Are you serious?
what 2018.
Bro, how do you remember? I don't even remember what I ate 2 days ago.
2018 it was just, and then they beat They beat Sweden. Tony Kroos's goal in the top corner. Remember that? You remember, guys? Come on, you can't forget that.
Come on, bro.
And they lost to South Korea.
Yeah,
They actually lost to South
They
Korea.
lost to South Korea.
Yeah,
Which game was it that there was the Germany game
yeah,
where there was a free kick that someone rolled it and then the Kroos I think shot
yeah. Against Sweden.
you know what
Marco Royce
rolled the ball.
rolled the ball in Cruz top corner.
Do you know why I remember that?
Top corner.
Because I remember seeing someone online or someone that I know, I can't remember who, they had a multi on, and one of the last leg was Cruz to score a goal from outside the box, and it was a free kick, but the ball was rolled inside the box.
Oh no!
Yeah, and he shot, he scored.
No. Oh, I would have been dying.
That would have been painful.
That was a top goal, though.
Wow.
No. England in the World Cups as well. Not even World Cups, in friendlies as well.
When you call about England, bro, England are always disappointments at major tournaments. How they haven't won after that, that one World Cup. How they haven't won a Euro.
Given they invented the sport.
Yeah. How they haven't won in the 90s, late
Yeah.
90s and early 2000s was really their prime, I feel.
Yeah.
Where they had that golden generation, where they had the players who were in their prime and at their level of maturity to win a tournament. They were experienced enough
Yeah.
with their clubs. How they didn't do it,
That
I don't
midfield
know.
was very strong.
Yeah, I don't know how.
Is that when
did
they
it.
beat Germany 5-1?
That was a qualifier, yeah.
2001 in Munich. Yeah.
Owen was on fire.
Hat-trick, and Hemel Heskey and Gerrard scored. So it was like Liverpool scorers in that game.
Well, Liverpool had a good year that year. They beat Arsenal in the 2001 FA Cup final when Arsenal was winning,
And Owen,
and there was
Two
pretty
goals.
much no time left on the clock. And I remember this exactly. They were watching because they'd pan away from the game and show the actual FA Cup, and the guy who's engraving would be engraving the name, and he started engraving Arsenal on it already.
Wow.
Because it was 1-0 and the game was done. There was no chances after
it's too
that.
premature there.
Arsenal were in their away yellow strip,
Yeah.
and Michael Owen popped up,
Yeah.
and they stunned us with 2 goals right to death. Didn't even go to penalties or anything, and they just took it 2-1.
That
So
year,
that was Owen's Owen was at his peak.
He won Ballon d'Or that year too, Owen. Yeah.
He was at his peak,
Yeah.
early 2000s, Michael Owen.
Yeah.
What year was it that Australia beat England 3-1?
2003
Was it
or 4.
3. That was Australia's first.
Sorry,
you know,
I retract
No,
my
you know
comment.
what I remember because
I retract.
you know what I remember because that was the first friendly of 2003, and the whole 2002, the first team players for Australia did not play together. It was a shambles.
Was it at Craven Cottage? Fulham?
No, it was Upton Park,
What?
Ooh.
West Ham. West Ham. I remember.
Are you sure?
Yeah,
Who scored? Popovic scored one.
Popovic,
Harry
Kuehl,
Kuehl.
Harry
and
Kuehl.
Francis Jeffers.
Harry Kuehl scored the third goal, didn't he?
Yeah, no.
Who scored
Popovic, Kuehl, then Jeffers made it 2-1, and then Emerton.
Emerton scored the third. That's right.
That was the first time the Socceroos got together for a match in over 2 years, almost 2 years.
I just love when Fatty tries to. He's looking at us like he's going to argue, and he's like, "Well, wait a second. Who am I arguing with?"
Come on.
Anyway, we're all looking over at the
soccer-
computer, looking at the squad
I'm
just
sure it was
to see if
Upton
Darcy's
Park.
correct. He reckons Upton Park.
Where was it?
Yes, it was. You just missed it. Yeah, he's right.
Yeah, is he right?
I was at school, I remember.
Yeah, it was Upton Park.
I was at
you're
school.
right.
Were you doing anything at school besides just looking at soccer scores?
I mean,
Were you just in the
it was
library
on
and
the, it was
shit,
on the
just-
TV in maths class. They had it on in news,
Yeah.
sports news.
You know
Australia
why I
beat
said,
England.
I said Craven Cottage? Because I know a lot of Socceroos friends were played there as well.
Ah,
Yeah.
fair
So
enough.
maybe
Yeah,
it
I think
was-
even Ahmed Orridge played.
Yeah, he did.
Nah, fair enough. But yeah, Darcy, you're a freak, bro.
Sorry, bro. I won't.
But you know what? I can't feel because the Socceroos Facebook page always brings back throwbacks and that, so they always throw.
Yeah, because
back.
that's all they got now. Nothing. Rubbish.
All right, I'm going to ask you your most memorable upset or underdog story. Let's see. Hopefully you don't take mine.
Your most memorable
Most
upset.
memorable.
Most memorable upset.
Or I know which one for me is the biggest of all time, but for you, which one's your most memorable, or which one sticks out for you?
I don't have
Like
one,
it can be
Darcy.
it can be a personal story, it can be one that just sticks in your brain. It can be, I don't know. We spoke about once that we spoke about already. So something like Leicester, or whatever you think comes to mind. Just to finish off, one that sticks out for you, one that really hurt you, or one that your team was the underdog. I mean, you guys chase big clubs anyway, like Real Madrid and stuff.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't have that underdog story. But, something that sticks out. Maybe something that, that really hurt you, or what are you thinking?
I mean, there's so many that, come to mind that we just spoke about. It is hard to think of, when you think about memorable, because we've had, so many that have been memorable. I have to say, so I'm kind of split. In terms of a season, I think, Ajax's run to the European Cup semi-final a few years ago, I was so invested in. I wanted to see Ajax win it. I was so pissed off when they didn't get to the final. There's so much talent in that team. The way they played was really... Yeah, I don't want to use the word revolutionary, but the way they played was so many influences from Cruyff, from Guardiola, and it was fantastic. They literally were playing Frankie de Jong as some kind of modern day libero, which how fun is that? How imaginative is that? So for me, that's one that really I'm very fond of. And then the other one has to be, Fatty's gonna love it. Liverpool 2005. In terms of a memory of getting up in the morning, watching that game, thinking, "Wow, all right, this game is done and dusted." Like Darcy said, if AC Milan was considered the heavy favourites, Kaká at his prime, you got Serov, Pirlo, whoever, at their just absolute best, and then you're seeing a 3-0 smashing that first half. You're looking at this game like, let's turn it off, let's go back to sleep for us Aussies. Hey, watching the rest of that game and the way it turned out. And I don't think we spoke enough about Jerzy Dujec's
It's a double save, yeah.
yeah, just his performance in the penalties was fantastic.
And that point
Such
blank.
a fun moment to see, and you just couldn't believe you're looking at it going, what what just happened? Anyway, what about you, Darcy? You had some time to
I've
think
got
about
a couple personal ones. One of them, Australia versus Uruguay 2005 qualifier. Special for me being there at ANZ Stadium.
Yeah, that was enormous, man.
That was unbelievable.
huge.
Unbelievable night.
That was huge for the country.
It was.
It propelled a lot of... it propelled football into the spotlight. In this
And
country.
it was just so nerve-wracking. 120 minutes of football. The Uruguay coming so close to scoring. I don't know if you remember Recoba missing one-on-one with Schwarzer, putting it wide. And he thought, wow, this could be Australia's night.
El Chino.
And then when Alois's penalty went in, the whole stadium erupting, everyone hugging each other. That was very special. Another one as well, no one would know or no one would probably remember. But for me personally, Lebanon against South Korea qualifying for 2014 World Cup. They didn't qualify, but it was the first round of qualifiers, and Lebanon beat South Korea 2-1, and it helped them go to the next stage of qualifiers.
Wow.
And they played in Beirut, and South Korea had the full team there, and Lebanon being Lebanon, no money, no budget, like hardly any resources for their football at all. And it was a big moment for the country, at least something to cheer them up about, given what how politically unstable it is there.
Would you say, touching on Socceroos, would you say Australia's Asian Cup win was a bit of an upset as well? Considering, the Japans, the South Koreas and all that.
Yeah. I mean,
Was that 2015?
January.
15, yeah. Yeah, that was a big win for Australia. I mean, South Korea I think were favourites in that final, given the team that they had and the experience that they had in previous tournaments.
They went to extra time, the final.
Yeah, it was
that's right.
James
Yeah, I was there. We
Was it James-
went
together?
We went together.
James
yeah.
Troisi with the...
No, it was Juric who cut it across and Troisi scored.
Yeah,
yes.
Troisi scored, yeah.
Yeah, Juric.
Yeah,
Juric
that was a big one.
He stole the ball, didn't he?
Juric nutted the defender.
I think that was a good one for Ange Postecoglou as a coach for Australia.
that propelled him.
It did. And another one as well. Sorry. In
Take
terms
it
of
over.
none of my teams or countries, Dortmund winning 97 Champions League. That was a big one. They were underdogs going to that one, and the way that they held out Juve and didn't allow them to play their game and winning 3-1. And Lars Ricken, that goal from long range. Another one.
Fatty, any standouts for you?
It's not a standout, it's more of a personal one, but I'll mention it anyway. 2010-11 season for Arsenal. We lost the League Cup final, it was called, the League Cup back then. Then it was the Carling Cup, it was the Carling Cup, then it was the League Cup, and then it was
Carabao Cup.
Carabao Cup, and then whatever it was. Anyway, it was the League Cup. We lost the final to Birmingham City.
Yeah.
And then they ended up playing Europa League after that. We lost 2-1, I believe it was. Yeah. But it wasn't just that on its own, because that cup itself wasn't that major, but that season was an issue because right up until early February, a couple of months out from the end of the season, we were 1 point behind United, so we were still there or thereabouts for the title. March and April we flopped, which generally Arsenal always flops around that time. We got knocked out of the Champions League by Barcelona. We won 2-1, and then we ended up losing 4-3 on aggregate. We beat them 2-1 at home. 2 goals. Well, the first goal was under our shoving, I think. Anyway, so
was that the one where Van Persie got sent off for kicking the ball away?
Yes.
Oh, what a joke that was.
Yeah, that was the one. So anyway, it was pretty much a bit of a collapse. So the result, if you look back at it now in hindsight, wasn't much of a surprise because we collapsed as a whole, as a club. We lost our title charge. We got knocked out of the Champions League. We lost the FA Cup, and then we lost the League Cup all within the space of like 2 or 3 weeks, something like that.
Yeah.
It was just a massive collapse. So, and from then, I think that's when Arsenal started to spiral, and all the Wenger out stuff and blah blah blah. So it was a bit of a catalyst, I think. But that was
true. Yeah.
For me, the biggest underdog story of the history of football has to be Uruguay vs Brazil in 1950. The Maracanazo.
Yeah.
So
The final.
200,000 people attended the stadium.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of suicides from that game.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
legit.
it was a done deal that Brazil was going to win, and Uruguay was just making the numbers, showing up. It was just celebrations already happened.
What would you say though, that or Brazil losing 7-1 at home in 2014?
No, but that was the final.
I know. Yeah.
No, the difference is that you lost to Germany, a strong German team.
Yeah.
They didn't expect much out of Uruguay. That's why it's such a big underdog
That's true.
story.
Yeah.
So the Germany game's a result. The actual the 7 blowout.
Yeah.
Whereas this is just, and that's why we decided to make the replica jersey as a commemoration for that game. We've got it on our website for sale.
Footballretro.com.
Yeah.
Get on it.
It's definitely, to me, the biggest underdog story. I mean, 70 years later, and people are still talking about it. Every anniversary comes up.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's massive. Any other comments before we leave, guys?
Yeah, it's good to talk about something like this. It's football's all about the beauty of upsets and underdogs, and we're living in a time where there's a lot of money involved, and a lot of big clubs are getting richer, and there's talk about these European Super Leagues happening. But part of the beauty of our sport is anything can happen, and as we've seen over the years, long may it continue.
Definitely. I mean, we can talk about this for the next 2 hours, I think.
Yeah.
I was going to say there's plenty of other results I'm sure that we could remember with a bit more time, but I think we touched on a fair few there, and a lot of World Cup results as well.
Yep.
Which is always nice.
Yeah, guys, and just a reminder, if you can, like this video, subscribe, let us know, about your favorite memories, or your worst memories of any kind of upset wins or losses, and just let us know in the comments below.
Thanks, everyone. See you next time. Bye-bye.